everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Ty, and I will be your moderator for today's program, Dunning Emails versus Automated AR Collections, presented by Resourceful Finance Pro and sponsored by Gaviti. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the chat box in the control panel. If they're regarding the subject being presented, I'll add them to the queue for questions at the end. Now I'd like to introduce your speaker, Jan Lazarev.
Hello, everyone. Pleasure seeing all of you joining our session. Today, we're going to cover the difference between Dunning emails and purpose-built automated AR collection management solutions. So first, let's understand better what are Dunning emails. As many of you might know, most ERP systems that you use in your companies have some cooked-in Dunning capabilities. Now, Dunning is mostly a fancy word for AR collections, but nevertheless, your ERP system has some capability that allows you to send automated reminders to your clients with overdue invoices. So the goal for the session today is to cover the pros and cons of these cooked-in capabilities that most of you have and compare it to purpose-built systems and understand what's the best strategy for you to get most invoices paid faster. So if you try to approach your collection process today, it will mostly be manual unless you use the cooked-in Dunning emails who are mostly reminder that's a little bit difficult to customize, if at all, but you would have an effective way to deliver the message that the invoice that your client, your debtor has is overdue, and maybe create a basic sequence with some follow-up that can be generated automatically without you or your collection team members having to manually follow up and remind your clients. Now, let's cover the basic pros and cons. So pros, well, it's already included with your ERP. You probably either paid for it or paying for it, depends on how you consume your ERP's subscription based, or you paid a few years back a flat fee. It allows you some personalization, and automation logic is quite simple, right? Basically, you'll get a weekly or a monthly email telling your customer, hey, Mr. Customer, you have an outstanding invoice, please pay us. Now, let's cover the cons because there are some things that worth keeping in mind. Well, first of all, 99% of the cases, we're talking only emails, and email may not be the best way for you to communicate with your clients. Some of them might prefer SMS, others might prefer actually speaking to a person. So it doesn't cover 100% of communication channels. Now, it's not very intuitive. Most ERPs are quite legacy solutions, so UI usually not great, logic is not great. It's hard for you to manage the sequences, and in many cases, you would rely on your IT team or your ERP integrator to control it for you. So if you would like to change the cadence, if you'd like to change some of the wording and timing, often it's something that you as a finance team member would struggle to do on your own. Now, many of those internal Dunning reminder systems or features are just client facing, right? And lots of times some sort of action internally required from somebody in your company, and it would be difficult to create such reminder with this cooked-in systems. Another thing is the flexibility is not there. So many times, whatever ERP you use, the ERP vendor would create some sort of automation template. But if your business is a bit different and you're looking to change it a little bit to match your collection process, you would struggle maybe in terms of which people involved in the process internally, or in terms of the timing, in terms of the messaging itself. So lots of times, companies that try to automate using internal dining modules struggle a bit and losing a bit of a flavor and relevance for their particular process because lack of flexibility. Um, to sum it up, it has some complexity to it. And this is the reason that the usage of internal dining modules is not very common among companies. Yes, if your company happens to have a very simple, basic collection process that happens to match the 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 template cooked into your ERP, you would use it. But many times, because of lack of flexibility, because of lack of the ability to tailor made it to your particular process, your particular company needs, it becomes too burdensome to enable, and companies would skip it altogether and just work the invoices, the clients manually. Um, Now, I think the major obstacle in a way of those modules is lack of flexibility and lack of support, because basically when you buy it, when you buy your ERP, and keep in mind, ERP is usually not sold because of great dining modules, so it's not a major focus area for those vendors developing the ERPs you use. I think the main challenge is lack of support and lack of flexibility. So you would either have to rely heavily on your IT to support a solution, or you just will not get a support and struggle working with it. Um, Now, since and this is especially true since COVID, and even more some since beginning of 2022 with increasing interest rates, in the last couple of years, the trend for finance leader, for CFOs, for VP finance, for controllers is to enable better process, all while improving operational excellence and manage costs better. So if historically, in order to perform better around collections, you would just throw more people at it, in the last couple of years, it's probably more challenging for you because A, there are less people available for you to hire, they probably cost more. And B, because now we see emergence of tools in many areas today, as a finance leader, you're probably also looking to run more efficient process, more better, more transparent, and with better data around it as you go. So data is key. Many of the dining modules are actually legacy, so there isn't a lot of data that available to you, and the data that provided to you by this module usually just your company data, not aggregate data from the market, from companies similar to you. And it's quite difficult for those leaders who look to make smart decisions based on data to allow them to improve operational excellence. It's difficult for those leaders to run and improve this process without data, or at least without good and reliable data that's readily available that will show better what a good dining process looks like. It might be intuitive for some, for others who are not very experienced in collections or maybe new to the company. Uh, it's a complicated answer to provide what a good dining or collection process looks like for us, for our organization, for our customers. So data is key, and gathering this data in the context of collections is very important to your ability to improve performance over time. So a bit on how teams control uh, dining emails. We've mentioned that in many cases you need your IT or your ERP integrator to set it up for you. Most often, your experience would be that some email goes out to the client or UCC, and that pretty much would be it. In better cases, you would see some sort of a queue where you control what goes out and what not. So you have a bit of control over the process. Um, each has each setup has pros and cons. I mean, obviously, if you have everything fully automated and the system is not flexible enough, certain percentage of your clients will get reminders that are relevant for them, that maybe will get them angry, and will require somebody in your collection team to go back and forth to make sure they're happy or actually the mistake if there been any clarified. In other case where you control what's going out, you it's semi-manual process where you need to verify that everything system suggests to go out should go out and be sent to your clients. So still quite burdensome. Now, a bit more about personalization. There's actually quite wide range. And on one side of this range, there are very basic emails where you cannot even customize the messaging, the actual text that goes out to your clients. And all reminders look the same. They just say, "Hey, dear client, you have an outstanding invoice for so and so dollars. Please pay." Now, a situation that's a little bit better for some systems is where you can control maybe the text and even add with a bit of text some personalization. At least address your client by name or provide a little bit of context. Since these solutions capture the same standard fields over and over, still most of our clients will get pretty similar email, but looking for ways, like looking for possibilities to personalize uh, the emails, the reminders is highly encouraged, especially because data shows that personalized emails, personalized engaging emails have better response rate. Therefore, will drive faster payments ultimately. So if you happen to see a system that has ability to personalize a bit, use it to the best of your ability. It should help you to get paid faster, to keep your DSO, day sales outstanding, lower. And it's a great segue to talking about best practices for dining emails. If your system allows you to, most often send the reminders from real email, right? From joe@yourcompany.com instead of finance@yourcompany.com. People respond more often to other people instead of to robots or things that looks like robots, and nothing screams more of a robot than some generic email at company.com. Um, Now, if replies are possible, encourage your clients to do so, because the ultimate goal of any collection process or dining process is to get one of the few following responses from a client. Yes, we're going to pay the invoice, or no, we're not going to pay the invoice, but this is the reason we cannot pay it at the moment. If you get a response with a reason, you can at least start working on a solution. The worst thing that happens is that you don't hear from your clients back and you have no input as to, is invoice being processed for payment? Are they completely not willing to pay? So if you can enable replies, it will also do wonders to your DSO down the road. Obviously, if you have ability to customize the text and the wording of your reminders, you should customize it a bit and add some sense of urgency to make them more engaging. Obviously, for your client, your debtor, your payer, paying you must not be top priority always, but for you, it's very important. So you need to create the sense of urgency, the sense of, hey, our reminder is important. Please pay us. Please uh, put us on top of your pile, on top of your to-do list, and process this outstanding invoice for payment ASAP. So again, highly engaging wording with sense of urgency is highly recommended. And to add to that, uh, it's suggested to add clear call to action. And call to action is something more of a for marketing world or marketing automation world, but actually Dunning emails work in very similar capacity. You try to drive action that's desired for you. In this case, you want your client to pay you, and it has to have a clear call to action. When can we expect the invoice to be paid? Please pay the invoice uh, as soon as possible, as it's already overdue. It has to be very, very clear. Now, a bonus tip is offering uh, multiple payment options if possible. Sometimes your clients want to pay you, but they get stuck in the process because, especially true for smaller invoices, because there are few or no convenient payment methods. So if you can offer additional payment methods, it will help you and may start a good conversation with a client with outstanding email. Now, what happens beyond emails? If your dining module allows you the ability to track what's being sent and to create additional follow-ups, that's amazing. If not, you need to build some sort of way to try and follow up on invoices that received dining email but nothing happened, because that as far as client concerned, he's been approached at least once, and you need to build on that. So some sort of system for a follow-up is highly, highly recommended. It's important to stress that these tactics are not the best or doesn't work as well where your volume increases, and hopefully your businesses are doing well, they're growing. It means that volume and amount of invoices increases over time, and manual or semi-manual methods don't work as well unless you hire more people, which is quite difficult and costly these days. So automating as much as possible is your way as finance team member, as finance leader, to improve operational efficiency, to reduce costs, to improve DSO, to improve your company cash flow. Now, a little bit more on high volumes. Well, first of all, if the volume increases, it's more difficult to control in general what's going on. For finance leaders, as is, it's hard to understand if all invoices have been worked, if they're being worked according to prescribed collection policy, uh, each invoice that's still outstanding, how close is it to get paid, right? It's mostly in the dark. Now, um, if there are manual aspects in your collection process using the built-in Dunning module, usually your collection team members will focus on low-hanging fruits, and will spend less time working on more complicated um, invoices to collect. Now, because some of the mails might not be very engaging, your customers might push back as well and might not be as cooperative. And the situation, in simple terms, sucks for everyone, and we see it in high churn rates for collectors. If you get into a place where communication with clients is frustrating, lots of collection team members, especially the guys who see this collection position as entry-level position to get something better in finance team will churn quickly, creating different difficulties for organization because now you need to rehire, you need to train new people. It all adds costs and admin effort for different departments in the team, and obviously for the finance leadership. And ultimately, if you don't work all your customers, probably some of them will not pay you. So if the scale becoming too large or too complex to sort manually or the cooked and done in modules, these are the pains you can expect to deal with pretty quickly. Now, what's the next level? What's the evolution? Because the basic capabilities, the cooked-in capabilities, are not cutting it for many businesses, especially on scale. There's this great, amazing category that we're also part of automated error collection management solutions. So it's a purpose-built tool that's a little different than what you have cooked in your ERP. And now it's a great opportunity to walk you through what it is, how it benefits businesses, how to buy one, and how it differs versus what you might already have with your cooked in done in module. So the base idea behind purpose-built AR collection management solution or platform is to turn the basic dunning into progressive process and obviously improve results KPIs like this, so cash flow over time. Now, um, why it's different? Well, first of all, in terms of values, uh, you have way more control, both on what's happening in terms of collection process and how it's happening. It provides way better visibility for all the stakeholders, not just finance, but other departments that are easily looped in as well. It's way more proactive, way more precise, and most importantly, data driven. These solutions utilize all the data your organization generates and sometimes that other organizations generate to provide you with actionable insights and advice on how to improve the collection process and performance. So, if you compare and try to compare apples to apples, first of all, every purpose built is usually better than anything generic. The purpose-built solutions, because they focus only on collections, they're way more flexible and accommodate better the things in your organization that little different from the field, and each organization usually has a couple of this. Um, it can integrate with additional tools. Again, it's not only a module of an ERP that just works with your ERP, it's easily connected to other relevant tools, maybe like your Salesforce, maybe some other tool you use but relevant for your particular collection process. As we mentioned, it's great for looping in non-finance users. Maybe your sales team or account management teams have some input or need some feedback from the collections. It's way easier to enable them to get this information, get these reports real time, even if they're not finance users, even if they don't have access to ERP, and obviously to manage their permissions accordingly. Utilizing data for insights, super important. You're not only automating process that might not be perfect, you're actually trying to move based on data, based on benchmarks, to a better process, to better level of performance. Obviously, it's not only limited to emails. There are multiple ways you can engage your client. And I believe, at least in my mind, the most important difference is it being supported by people who really understand collections instead of IT, who know nothing of collections, or even your ERP integrator, who probably knows little about collections, more of a generalistic ERP specialist that probably understands the bigger roles of ERP and not particular task or task management that you try to do with your ERP. A little bit about benefits of AR automation in general. Well, first of all, if the product is very flexible, you can allow it to run on all or most of your clients, so you can make sure all clients will work at all times. You can create better escalations based on different data points the solution can collect from your clients' feedback, behavior, etc. And by this, actually make your clients happier, because it is important to keep in mind collections. It's a part of a service you provide to your clients, because they meet you and your team the first time when they trying to buy your product or service, and then they meet other team members that deliver the goods or the service itself, but they finish up with the finance team trying to bill them and collect from them, and you need to make sure it's a positive experience, because this is probably the last thing they will experience interacting with your business, and it obviously affect their ability to be an avid fan of your business and you, if they had positive interaction while being followed up for payment. Now, because the AR management, their collection management tool are purpose built, it's easier to collaborate. Basically, the solution becomes one single source of truth for every collections for your organization, so everybody see real-time data. You no longer have to share Excel spreadsheets, so it really, really helps you to align. Obviously, for management, it also means you can control the team performance better, and as a result of this, to control the outcome, right? If all the clients being worked according to the prescribed process, probably the outcome will be better. And by this, lower DSO, better cash flow. And it's clear. There's great study by Payments.com and Amex that clearly shows that company who implemented a solution enjoyed 33% improvement in DSO versus company with little um, or no solution and automation of the process. So the numbers speaks for themselves, and these are just averages, not best in class. So really, there's a lot of potential for organizations who don't utilize purpose-built tools to improve. And again, I think now with the increase in interest rates and more focus on working capital, there is a lot of incentive to go and improve the performance of this side of the business, of this side of the collection team. It's real opportunity to generate some net profit on your end by finance, which is uncommon. So how it's done? Well, there are a few steps to go live with such purpose-built solution. And there are a few best practices. Well, first of all, automating as much as possible is great. It's important to understand which of your clients, which approach suitable for each client, and then create this one single source of truth that communicates well both internally, which is very important, and externally. And once you have these processes built, they're being streamlined, you improve them over time, and basically make sure the execution is successful and it's easily repeatable because you have a solution running it for you. Now, where it gets interesting is your ability to make sure the process, which is main part of the purpose-built solution, that the process is tailor-made to your needs, that it's personalized, that it really allows you to approach each one of your clients in the best way possible. It's not just simple generic templates, but you can bring all the data from your ERP, from your CRM, from your other data sources. So your clients being approached by name, the approach is relevant for that invoice, that service that they bought, that these goods have been delivered, and it addresses to some event, past or future, that happened. So it's very relatable, it's highly personalized, and it drives better engagement and drives uh, higher response rate by your client. So, and hopefully the response will be, hey, we got the invoice and we're going to pay you. But even if not, you're going to uncover lots of the issues that prevent your clients from paying earlier, and it's valuable. Now, another way, obviously, another important thing to pay attention to, you will be able to approach your clients not just by emails, which, admittedly, probably the best way for most B2B scenarios, but not the only way. Um, and you will be able to approach them at the right time, via the right channel, again increasing your response rate. So um, the philosophy behind it is to um, you know delivering the right message to the right persona at the right time to drive better response and ultimately faster payments. Now, to explain it better, I'm going to show you some print screens from our solution, but it's probably true for the category in general. So for us, having one clear dashboard where all relevant KPIs for your business is shown is very important to get everybody on the same page. So the management, maybe the C-suite, sees the same things that real time that your finance team sees, that your collection department sees. Um, to provide maybe to utilize the data to provide payment forecast. If there's enough data around how your clients behave, if they're late, by how much they're late, and other data points, maybe they provide you promises to pay, you can forecast very accurately and without a lot of effort what's upcoming months going to look like, and it's going to provide you great value. So this is a great example of how a tailor-built solution leverages the data for your benefit, something that's very difficult to achieve with the tools you have cooked in your ERP. Um, Obviously, the workflows, again, great example and great print script from our solution that shows you how you can easily customize in a couple of clicks the timing, the messaging, the personas that being engaged by your workflows. I think it's great two ways. First of all, like we mentioned, better messaging drives more responses, drives faster payments. But the other question or the other side of this equation is how much effort you need to put in to create it. Well, with purpose-built solution, it's going to be very intuitive, simple menus. So in a couple of clicks, you're rolling. And if you don't like it, or you get some data points that suggest you should change your cadences, well, it's an easy change in a couple of clicks, unlike having submitted a request to your IT department to make changes. From personal experience, it can take weeks, months even. And obviously, since we're in dynamic environment, you want to roll faster. Um, Obviously, segmentation, super important. Not all your clients are the same, and you might want to approach your clients, or at least groups of clients, differently, something that many Dunning modules are not very good at, and something that purpose-built solution usually will excel. So you can create a couple of groups, each group gets different experience, and again, the better you engage your clients, the more responses you get, the faster ultimately your invoices will get paid, the better off uh, your cash flow is. Now, working internally is important. There are lots of studies how many people inside organization involved in the collection process, not just the collection team members. Being able to create one single source of truth and harness other people to help you along the way is important. Again, internal dining modules do not excel in it. Purpose-built solutions, because they're holistic and they look at collections as the main task, will allow you easily to loop in additional team members as needed. and it's going to work great. Now, the most important part that not being discussed and must be said that automation doesn't solve 100% of the challenges in front of you. However, it solves most, which means your team members, the people in your team, can focus on high value, high impact tasks, right? And sometimes you will have this complicated case where you need to make a phone call to a client, where you need to hop on a Zoom with a client, where you maybe need to explain them what transpired. Um, a good solution will not only create you and your team the bandwidth to deal with those tasks better, but it will also outline which are these tasks exactly, who are the clients who would benefit the most, whose DSO would benefit the most from prioritizing them. So creating this is something that cooked in modules overlook. They're all about sending emails and not necessarily managing the people and their effort in the team. And something that purpose-built solutions excel at. Obviously, logging everything, capturing all the data around the collection process, capturing the tasks, capturing the notes, creating the single source of truth is amazing. So it was very easy for the team members and the management to monitor everything that's going on. Another pleasant bonus of this is come annual or quarterly audit. It's very easy for you to show your auditors what did you do in terms of collections to show all the great effort on your side. Um, and obviously the communications very easy to communicate in context because you engage your clients better to do so because you have all the right data pieces in front of you without having to look for it. Better communication, drive more responses, drive more payments. I've said it a couple of times. Now, um, we mentioned also the collaboration internally, super important, not only for keeping track, but actually to harnessing additional people to participate with you. If you have a purpose-built solution, very easy to manage the people involved in your collection process, not only the finance team members. Um, Now, here's another one that's super important, and I want to touch quickly. Um, most of the differentiators, most of the features we mentioned so far are on a business side, your side, where you manage your collection process. But again, collections are also a part of the service you provide, and you want to reduce friction. If you have a purpose-built solution, you can engage your clients better. You can provide them with a little portal where they get to self-serve, maybe get your W-9, maybe get the payment instructions, maybe see what was paid or what's upcoming. But ultimately, they can serve themselves better. It will save time to your collection team and its members, but it also will make your clients happier. So no just simple reminders of hey, Mr. Client, please pay, but actually some services, some help that you can, some assistance that you can provide to the AP people on the other side of these reminders. Super important. They will thank you for it, and usually you provide them with a generally good experience. Um, I think it sums up the main differences between the cooked-in capabilities of Dining module that if you haven't used so far, you might want to look into. But mainly it shows how purpose-built receivable collection management solutions are superior and highly relevant for those companies who are looking to take their receivable collection effort to the next level, which is probably very relevant in the macro environment that we are living these days with increasing interest rates and the constant pressure of improving results and operational excellence. Um, Well, that was a lot of information that I shared with. I bet that there are some questions on your end, which I would be glad to answer.
Thank you, Jan. And as Jan mentioned, we would now like to take your questions. So if you have questions, please submit them into the chat box. And there were a few that came in via email as well as while you were presenting. So first we'll get to the questions that came in by email, then I'll turn to the chat. So with that, our first question is, our I team decided to build our own internal automation for finance functions. What are the benefits and problems that may arise with this approach?
Okay, wow. Well, first of all, congrats that you have an IT team that wants to help finance. Not super common, so you're already off to a great start. Obviously, few potential challenges that might arise, trying to build a homegrown or trying to build something on top of the basic Dunning module that your ERP has. Well, first of all, your IT know little about collections, so in terms of expertise, it would be difficult. Second, it usually takes longer than expected. Since it's a one-off project, there are lots of um, challenges that they're unaware of. So if timing is important, if the go live of this project is important, it's something to pay attention to. Second, I think in terms of internal resources, who's going to support it? If it's a one-off and nobody supports it, you might find yourself in a few months looking to make some changes and struggle because your IT moved on. You probably also might need at some point a certain expertise and know-how um, to understand better what your workflow should look like, what maybe reports and screens you might need. So it's something to pay attention to. Now, again, the question is, how simple is your collection process? If it's very simple and all the clients look the same, um, it's probably gonna work pretty well, and the cost is not going to be huge internally. However, if it's a little bit more complicated, I would at least try to to check a couple of vendors because A, the cost might surprise you. B, you'll at least will know what you don't know yet about what a solution like this should look like, even if you'll decide eventually to build homegrown and not buy from a vendor.
Thank you, Jan. And our next question is, can you put a number as to how AR automation can improve our cash flow?
Sure. So, the definite numbers are individual to each business, but generalistically speaking, what you can expect is that within a few months, your DSO will improve 30% or higher, and calculated from there, like for every finance team, it's pretty easy from that point because you know what your annual turnover is, how much each day outstanding worth for your company, and then just calculate the 30% of this. What we see from our experience from the companies we serve, which is mostly mid-sized enterprises with annual turnovers of hundreds of millions of dollars, usually they get a serious cash flow boost of several millions of dollars quickly. And again, now with the financing costs on the rise, it has serious impact on their bottom line end of year because now their financing costs are better as a result. So if your business has some scale, it probably makes sense financially to automate one way or the other, either homegrown, cooked-in capabilities that you have with your ERP, if you have them, or buy a solution, and you would be able to justify the cost for your management to pick one route or another.
Perfect. Thank you. And our next question, another IT related question here. Our team struggles to get IT on board with implementing new products. From your experience, how do teams usually navigate this?
Well, first of all, I think the best to answer this question are the guys from the company who has the first question because they have their IT on board. But realistically speaking, I think a strong case could be made to the management, including the head of IT, that introducing automation one way or the other benefits the company greatly. And companies that who are in the mode of cutting costs, improving operational excellence, improving performance, it's a no-brainer that something needs to happen. Now when this is established, uh, you need to have an internal meeting to understand where do you lean. Are there is there an appetite? Well, first of all, is there internal cooking capabilities, internal dining module in the ERP you have already? Um, if yes, look if it's satisfactory for you and if your IT team has the resources to support you. If not, you need to look, build, or buy the solution. And the question for that is, what's your budget? How quickly you need it, etc. I think the answer is varies heavily on the situation of your business and on the size and level of skill you have within your IT department or with your ERP admin. Um, but I think establishing first that the automation needs to happen is the first step, and then just making a decision of how you're going to approach it after. But either way, again, with today's interest rates, it makes sense any way you approach it.
Thanks, Jan. And our next question is, many of our clients are based out of different regions and countries. Is there a way to tailor automation per country, language, and region, and not just based on risk score slash strategic clients, etc.?
Yeah, great question. So, good receivable collection management solution allows you to segment your clients any way you want it. Example from Gavidi, from our own solution, is we often capture a custom field, and by that custom field, which could be a geography, which could be any parameter you feel relevant from clients. By this field, we would distribute the clients to different collection workflows. So definitely possible. This is something you should look for. And again, splitting them geographically might be right for your business. Splitting them based on their size, strategic importance, etc., might be relevant for others. Each business has its own methodology in terms of how they approach and group clients for sales, for collection, etc. And a good solution should allow you to segment clients easily into relevant groups.
Perfect. And it looks like we have a couple more here. Next question is, cash flow is not our main concern because our clients always pay eventually. What would be the added value in implementing AR automation software and our use case?
Okay, thanks. Well, first of all, you're in a great place if it's not your main concern. I would say that with increasing interest rates, not getting paid on time becomes more expensive. So it probably should be higher in terms of your priorities. But realistically, even if you trust your client 100% to pay and funding is not an issue, um, implementing a receivable collection management solution will allow you to manage your collection team better, provide you with more visibility in terms of process. It will allow you to plan and forecast better based on this data, and ultimately it will put everybody in your organization on the same page. So even if the cash flow itself working well or not a major pain, being able to run this test great, to run this test well is great, and it also means that going forward, it will be easy for you to replicate the success. So if, let's say, in a year or two, some people on the team change or cash flow becomes a higher priority, it's very easy for you to know what works, what doesn't work, and to assure you operate at really high operational standard and perform this task well and getting paid at lowest DSO possible. Last question.
Yep, last question is, our team has reviewed numerous AR management softwares and found them all more or less the same. What makes Gaviti different from what I've already seen?
Well, first of all, hard to tell which solutions did you had a chance to see. But it's important to compare apples to apples. Gaviti is a receivable collection management solution, meaning we focus on AR collections, not billing, not credit, not application, not like it's very purpose built. Now, I think the main differentiator is that Gaviti automates your current process. So it's your collection process on steroid, lots of tools to support the team and you, versus many solutions that provide some sort of automation template, but that will require you to change your business process to be able to use. Right. So instead of you having to fit into a certain mold, it's just you being you, but with better tools, moving faster. I think that's the main one, and we achieve it because our solution is more flexible in terms of architecture, and it's easier to control that way. Maybe another one I would mention, and it's probably a good tip for everyone that will look to introduce a solution um, in terms of connectivity, integration, ability to onboard. Not all solutions support all ERPs. So checking this is important that if you get in a demo of certain solution, will it support your current tech stack? And if so, how long will it take you to go live? Right? Because there are some great solutions, but they require lots of custom coding and customization, which means they're going to be expensive, but even if you're not deterred by the cost, just will take a long time to roll out. And usually when you reach the point you want such solution, at least from our experiences, you want it yesterday. So will it work your ERP and will it work quickly?
Thank you, Jan. That was our last question, so I'll turn it back to you for any closing remarks.
Well, first of all, thank you for coming. It was my pleasure to share some of our knowledge and know-how. Obviously, if there are any further questions on your end, you're welcome to engage us at gaviti.com. The team and myself are always happy to help, even if you're not looking to buy our solution necessarily. Happy to share from our knowledge. And I think it will be interesting to see how in coming quarters companies will strategize their AR collections in midst of increasing interest rates and increasing financing costs, all while trying to reduce uh, personnel costs and other expenses and being more lean and efficient. And wish you the best of luck doing so.
Thanks again, Jan. In order to remain on schedule, we'll respond to the overflow of questions that came in by email in a timely manner. And with that, on behalf of Resourceful Finance Pro, I would also like to thank everyone for attending. This concludes our program.